I'm going to show you how to prune a tomato plant. All these leaves down here close to the ground you need to cut off, because these, as you can see, dirt has been splashed up on top of them. This dirt can make bacteria and diseases grow and start on your tomato plant, which will kill them. So just trim off the low limbs, even some that are just too big and hanging down, like these. And then now the tree can air out. As you can see, the tomato plant can now breathe and get airflow underneath it. Another thing you need to watch out for is this. This is the main tomato stem. This is the leaf. In between the main stem and a leaf, you're going to grow a sucker in between it. This one I'm going to leave because it's already producing flowers. But the one on the other side of the tree over here has tomatoes on it. What I'm going to do is just stun it where it can focus on producing those tomatoes for right now. And as you can see right up here, in between the stem and the leaf, there's a brand new sucker. So what you do is you just come in here and pinch it off. As you can see, I trimmed this one up. No leaves are underneath it. It can air out and breathe. The only issue is there's a set of tomatoes forming down there. I cut off suckers and leaves there. I got pretty tomatoes growing all up the tomato plant. And as you can see, this one is doing the same thing. In between the leaf and the main stem, there's a little sucker growing. So just pinch those off. This was a sucker, and I'm planning on putting it in the ground, because these little fuzzy hairs will turn into roots, and that will make a whole new tomato plant. This is a beef master tomato plant, and the leaves are not as bad as the other ones, so this tree can air out. But as you can see right here, there's the main stem, there's a leaf, there's a sucker. So what I'm going to do is just cut it off. This tomato plant, for some reason, split, and it has two main stems. I'm going to cut this leaf off also. Because it was touching the ground. This is a sucker that I planted after cutting it off, and it stayed alive and it's growing well. The potted tomato plant has 13 plus tomatoes on it. I had to tie a little bit of string on one of the stems and tie it to the stake because it started hanging and almost breaking due to the weight of the tomatoes. I'm going to cut this leaf off because it is starting to turn yellow. Now it can air out a little more. There's no suckers growing on it. All the tomato plants are looking good so far. There's not too many suckers, just low limbs. As you can see, I've done the same thing with the Romans. The Roman tomatoes are not growing any suckers. But as you can see, I had an issue during a windstorm. 3 of them got blown down, and I'm having to support them with stakes. Trimmed up the big beef tomatoes. and they're looking good. These are too young currently to grow any suckers. I just looked closely on one of them, and I see a sucker in between a leaf and the main stem. And then another one right there. And another one right here. I'm not going to trim any of the cherry tomatoes until they get bigger. I have trimmed this one because it was larger than the rest of them. And as you can see here, I have 2 cherry tomatoes that are having trouble staying up because of the wind. And down here, I have 3 tomatoes that have got blown down during a windstorm, so I'm having to support them with stakes.